What's up, everybody? It's your favorite king of the roads, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Fanstoys Roadking, I think is his name, their Motormaster. I bought this from the toy guy. His email will be in the description. That's the best way to contact him. Tell him Skully sent you. Good prices and a good fella. But let's get a couple things out of the way with this review. One, I can never win with Fanstoys. I'll never please everybody. Whenever anything hits, if I love it, it's of course he loves it. If I hate it, I didn't give it a fair chance. There's always some caveat that people try to have to explain my opinion on something, instead of just saying, I think that's just how he feels. However I end up feeling about this guy in the final thoughts will definitely be just because that's the way I feel. I'll give you my first impressions on him generally. Good materials, good build. Feels good in your hands, so to speak. And with that being said, let's get to accessories. He comes with the purple gun, as we've come to expect, and it looks perfect. Tons of sculpted details. It looks more interesting than just an average blocky gun, which a lot of companies are doing today, and it has a paint finish on it. Fantastic. As you can see, he holds it just fine. The weapon stores by using this peg and that hole underneath the trailer. He also comes with his signature sword. I'll be honest with you, I don't like the sculpt of the hilt. I don't feel like it matches the sophistication of the gun. However, I do like the paint on the blade. It has the silver paint. The rest is gray plastic, and he holds it just fine. Same for the sword with this peg and that hole. Like that. You also get an alternate face sculpt. We'll talk about the detailings when we get to the figure, but one thing that's kind of surprising and a little bit of a bummer is there's no accents on the teeth or the inner part of the mouth, which does kind of take away from the expression because it just sort of looks like a plain stripe rather than any sort of layers between panels, or not panels, but planes, you know, and it looks a little bit unfinished, honestly. Let's talk about the figure. So the head. Now I know there's supposedly been some change to the head sculpt. I haven't looked at it too much. I think the head sculpt looks great. I think the box looks good, so to speak. I like that the box matches the darker gray and not the lighter gray. I know there's been some sort of a piece of I don't know, nitpick for people. I prefer it that way. I'm glad it went that way. Let's continue. One of my gripes immediately with the head is there's no range of motion down. Now that's obviously because of the box style design choice that they had to go with regarding the character. However, bots this size, I feel like it is important for them to look down, and he really can't. He does get a little bit up. Once again, it's the box that stops it, and he gets a swivel, and it's on a hinge swivel, just so you know. The face is painted with that like metallic pink, and then the eyes have a metallic purple. It looks fantastic. It's almost breathtaking in regards to the paint. Moving on, we have a waist swivel. However, the backpack does, it's not the backpack, it's the design. It does stop it from a full swivel. And I'll be honest with you, anatomically it makes sense. However, I have found that it does limit posing. You'll still be able to get a great pose out of it. I'll show you that at the end. I've just found that I kind of want just a 1/4 inch more. But it is there, and you get a ratcheted ab crunch. So that's nice. Both the ab crunch inside and the outside, this dark gray / black, is a metallic paint, and it looks perfect. On the chest, we have the 2 cassette tapes, and they have the purple translucent over top of them, and it looks fine. I'm not the biggest fan of using translucent plastics, but it doesn't bother me there. It's a little bit more distracting below, but we'll get there. It's also missing the silver paint that some people wanted. It doesn't bother me. You still get an outline, and I think that's enough color breakup for me. If that was if that was your thing, if you were like, dude, you know what I love most about it, the silver outline, you're gonna be disappointed. I like the subtlety of it. With a lot of this stuff, I prefer subtlety, and this is one case where it's the same. You can also see this joint here. I don't know if that's going to be bothersome to people as well. I can see how it would be. That bothers me more actually than the silver paint, but once again, it's a small nitpick for me. All right, let's continue. For the arms, it's a universal joint. It does feel like you should be able to like, I guess it's just the way the ratchets are, but like there is some pull there. It feels like you should be able to get a butterfly out of it. I haven't been able to, but it seems like you should. Universal joint, you can get up to just above 90 degrees on an outward ratchet. Soft ratchet to get around, and it's fine. I like the color breakup also between the grays. I think it's a nice look. The grays aren't painted like the light gray. I wish that it were, but it's not. And we have the bicep swivel is just above the elbow, and we have the elbow that gets you almost the full range on a single hinge. Fantastic. And sculpted detail in the joint. Another nice little look. All right, for the hands, typical Fanstoys hands, we got a swivel. We have the thumb on a ball peg connected to a hinge for the thumb articulation. And we have the fingers on a base pin knuckle, and they're all individually articulated and then pinned on a secondary knuckle. So you should be able to get everything that you want, your little heart desires. Same for the other side. The hips. So we have hip skirts in the front, and we have small hip skirts on the side. They will get out of the way, and you have no ratchets on the outward. It's just tensioned universals. You do get the full Van Damme. You got ratchets forward and back. That seems to be the vogue thing. I do have this out a bit at an angle, but pretty much the full Monty. Thigh swivel. You get kind of the appropriate amount built around the universal. If you need more, you can use one at the secondary swivel here, right below the knee. The thighs are painted the same way that the rest of the kind of dark gray / black is painted, and it looks good. The knees. The knees are actually a complaint for me. So it's a single hinge, it's ratcheted, and there is like some sculpted detail and stuff inside that all looks good. And you get 90 degrees, so that's good. The problem is, now that did it perfectly. You can get this cover here out of line like it is right now, and you'll come down and you won't be able to get it in the socket. It's a small nitpick, but it is annoying. Oh, there's the double hinge, never mind. You get even more. But it is a little bit annoying. You just have to make sure it's lined up properly, and then it'll go in the socket, no problem. But it is a little like, whatever the opposite of user-friendly is, it's a little bit of that. The translucence here I do find more distracting. That's a subjective choice, but it is mine. The side, we have the purple stripes. We'll talk about that a bit more in truck mode. And then the bottom. Now, some people have said that this is too wide. Like, it's too, I don't know. Not for me. And down on the feet, we have an ankle tilt. Not really, maybe a little bit down. A little bit up. And then a pretty good ankle rocker. For the feet themselves, they are painted, and then we have some chrome bits and all that. All that looks great. And then the translucent red I actually like for the marker lights. That looks good. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this fella. It's very clean. Oh, we got to talk about it. I know we got to talk about it. So, the backpack. That is not, I don't know what people are talking about. I mean, like, that's not a lot. And it's clean. I think, so here's the thing. Would I prefer it not be there? Maybe, but not for the reasons that perhaps you would. I would prefer it not be there because I would imagine that this makes up most of the trailer. I'm getting ready to go through the transformation here shortly for myself. And my thing is I would have rather the trailer just plug in and be a separate piece. This is all, I'm guessing, self-contained. So if you want a self-contained trailer, it has to go somewhere. I don't want a self-contained trailer, but I feel like there's no way they could really win here. If they did the parts forming trailer, people would be like, oh, really? A parts forming trailer? You know what I mean? But if they don't do the parts forming trailer, oh, really? You got a backpack? Like, we've seen uglier backpacks, and I don't know. We've seen way worse than this. This doesn't really bother me. It doesn't stick out that much further from the bot. I'm trying to get the arm out of the way so you can see it. I don't know. It's pretty streamlined to me. I don't find it distracting at all from really any angle. I don't know. I remember these backpacks. Boom, ping, pow, wham! And I think what bothers me most about backpacks is not that there's a backpack, it's when the backpack is ugly. Like, for instance, if we remove these two ugly backpacks, we're left with 3 good-looking backpacks. And none of those really bother me. But individual results will vary, I suppose. Size comparison-wise, there he is next to the Transformission Motormaster. Magic Square Prime, good bit taller. Something to keep in mind. MP Megatron, good bit taller. Something to keep in mind. And there he is with the DX9 Wild Rider and the X-Transbots Wild Rider. Now, this does give me a more peace of mind regarding the DX9 set, that the scale is going to be good regarding the combine mode, but just so you can see how they fit in. I just wanted to tell you what that means to me. And my tentative plan for these guys is to keep them in robot mode, and just wanted to show you how he looks in my little dio for the Stunticons. I am quite pleased. I love the huge scale, like against the exit sign. It really puts it in perspective. So the instructions for this start out the same way that I normally would, so we're all working in tandem at the moment. Open up this cover here, make sure you have their hand into a fist, fold it in, close it up, tighten up. Same for the other side, hand in a fist, open up the flap, tuck it in, fold it down, shorten up. All right, let's get some foot action going. So bring this piece down to straighten out the front of the vehicle. Bring this wheel down and fold it to the inside and then line it back up for a nice kind of smooth finish there, so to speak. This piece here has to turn around also. I'm gonna see if I don't have a tool that can help me do that. This is not meant for fingers such as mine, but that's cool. Little stuff like this is very cool to me. All right, and then flip this wheel out for like the proper kind of truck wheel. Then flip your heel spur in, and this whole piece, which is on a double hinge, around to the back. So let's do that all again step by step. Pull this piece out. The wheel comes down, spins around to the inside, and slides up. The headlight flips 180 degrees to create a smooth finish. The proper truck wheel comes around to the outside. And lastly, the heel spur flips up and then comes around to the back. So let's undo this piece here and straighten that out. And then this entire section has to untab from the side, come out, and this piece, be careful, it's on a double hinge, comes around into the back. And then you're left with all of this, which I will admit is extremely intimidating. But bring this out, and now we have to get this entire section out of this housing. And it can be a little tricky because of the tires, it seems like to me. But fold this up and then bring it out. And you'll notice that it comes, so to speak, a lot easier. And then you gotta get this out, which, I'll tell you, is a good thing that they made these spudgers. So bring this around. That goes to the back, and then this little thing here, I don't know if you can see that, on this bar, swings out. Oh, you gotta have it kind of in line to clear this tire, I guess. And then that will go in, I don't know if you can see that, into the fuel tank to kind of put it in place. The smokestack comes around to the back and then extends, which you didn't see, but trust me, we'll show it again. And then the front part of the cab has to come up and lock in to the back here with a peg and a slot. And I know some of that got out of frame, so I'll try a little bit better on this part. But bring this one around. You need to bring this whole panel, which is a little, this is actually one of the parts of the whole foot element that kind of bothers me the most. Then bring this around here so that it's more in line with the opposite side. And we're gonna wanna bring all of that out to unfurl the deli sandwich. Make sure that this piece is angled that way and then pull out. So, there. No problem. Just technique. Swing out your little plastic piece here from the die cast that's pinned there, and make sure you clear your tires when doing so. And then that will plug in to the fuel tank to lock it into place. Now, we had to get this piece to swing outward so that it fills in the back of the cab. And then this section comes up and plugs in to the back piece of the cab. And then lastly, bring your exhaust around and slide it up to the top. Turn the head 180, and mine is uncomfortably tight. Untab this chest piece, fold it on top of itself, and bring it up to the top. There's 2 tabs here that lock the trailer into place. If you undo those, you can then rotate them to the top. And then there's a little place here where you can put your finger, so to speak, and help bring up this entire section so that it sits more in line. And now the instructions say there's a little piece here. They say to push down on that. Oh, and it works like a champ. And bring this out. And then you can rotate this entire assembly 180. On the underside, I'm gonna swing out this back part of the bumper here. And I'm going to get these wheels in line. Then you're gonna wanna get these 2 tabs in line, but the wheels are on basically double hinges, so it's gonna be a bit challenging to keep it all in line. Now take these 2 parts of the shoulders or arms and swing those outward, and then pull the part where we talked about maybe it was a butterfly joint. And you could probably still cheat it if you wanted to, but I don't know, it's a lot to kind of cheat, but it would probably work. And then move those around just to the bottom, just get them out of the way. Same for the other side. We'll get these panels up, we'll pull away, and bring them around to the bottom. Now we have to open up the backpack, which is basically the trailer. So just get all of these panels up and out of the way. All you folks that don't like parts forming pieces, I will respectfully disagree. Don't forget this bottom piece that's hard to kind of see if you're not paying attention. Get that out of the way and then fold it down over the head. Take your shoulder piece and flip out this inner panel to fill in that gap. Then make sure you collapse it and collapse the arms on top so that this space here is flat. Let's do it again. Bring this out so that that piece fills in. Collapse that right there. And then fold, I just flipped my panel, but fold the shoulders to the inside and they'll actually tab together. Now before you start to put the trailer together, make sure that all of the trailer is unfurled, including these 2 little tricky pieces here. And they'll be the same on the corresponding side. Well, you get the picture if I can't get this. There we go. Let's fold this back on itself so that we can see what we're doing. We're folding these. There's 2 tabs here that are gonna go in to 2 tabs on the body. You'll be able to see them pretty much clear as day. No problem. Same for the other side. We're gonna fold this piece around on the double hinge just to get it out of the way so we can see what we're doing. And we're gonna tab in the 2 on the side right there and there into the side of the kind of body of the bot. Then on the top, we're gonna get like a little lock and key system going with this piece and this little indentation. Easy as pie. Once again, it's right here. Easy as pie. Then we're gonna fold down the roof and these interlock. And then making sure that it's completely unfurled, we're gonna bring this up. These 2 tabs go into the roof of it, and then these 2 interlock on the sides. The next thing we have to do is tab in this section, which is on this piston, into this metal bar. Now this is very loose on mine, and it's just a matter of making sure it is lined upright. And getting it in, I don't know, there we go. There you go. Then on the opposite side, line up your trailer parts and you can plug them in for a little bit of solidity. Take your little piston, make sure it's lined up appropriately, and slide it into the corresponding slot on the other side. I actually like this because it helps you keep the right angle. Then on the opposite side, position everything so that the two trailer parts will line up and tab together interlockingly for a little bit of solidity. This is where the knee comes into play. So you want to have this so that the knee sits up underneath the arm. So we'll use the upper joint to get it aligned, and then we're going to sit it right in place and try our best to keep it. That's where you want it. That's the angle right there. Now this top piece will flip down at a 90-degree angle and then again on a double hinge to sit between the two. On this section, take this piece, the wheels could be rotated around or like this. I think it comes in the box like this. So just bring this piece around, up and over top, and then this piece comes out, this piece comes, oh, QC30 by the way, in case you were keeping track, down, and then this comes around, and all of this tabs together to kind of create the front piece, and just interlock all these panels as you can. It's pretty intuitive because there's just tons of slots and tons of pegs and all that kind of stuff, and just get it sorted. Same on the other side. We're just going to manipulate this knee using the topmost hinge as much as we can to get this all in line so that the knee sits up flush with the arm. And it's eating me up, but at least I showed you once, right? Let's see. There we go. That's where you want it, right there. Bring this piece here up and up, double hinge, and tuck it in the best you can. Bring this piece, it's a little taut, like a tiger, up and around to the corresponding side. And then this piece comes down and over, and then get to tabbing. Also, while you're here, you might want to make sure that this hip skirt is up. It's probably a good idea to have both of these hip skirts up to begin with to avoid scratching any of the paint. I'm not sure if they show that in the instructions or not. I'll have to take another look. But just get your tab on. Now we're going to tab all of this together and just line it up and push and pray, maybe? A little bit of thoughts and prayers and likes and shares. Good. There's then a little piece here that you're supposed to slide over to kind of keep these sections connected, I guess. I'm not sure, but it says to do it, so we're doing it. Then on the bottom side, fold these two pieces in, and then you take your last bit of panels, fold them around, and just get to tabbing. This is not the most fun thing to do in the world. It's never fun when you have a whole bunch of panels, panicking, that you had to kind of lock in together. I'm not going to bore you with the details of this. I'll get it sorted out, but all of this has to lock in. These two are for the hip skirts. This goes in there. All of this lines up with that. And there it is. I mean, I don't know. If you mess with this, the trailer is finicky, but rolls like a champ. It's very impressive, like the turn radius. I mean, that's pretty awesome. I don't know, like, I think the self-contained, look, it's a subjective choice, right? I think the self-contained nature of it was a mistake. I think it would have been better to just have a plug-in piece and just had the bot turn into most of this. But it is impressive. The engineering is impressive, and it's not super frustrating. The only thing that gets a little frustrating is tabbing it all in at the end. But it's not, it's more along the lines of TF Element, the Prime, and less along the lines of the G Creations Prime. You know what I mean? It just has a little G Creations feeling at the end when you're tabbing it all in. You know, obviously the back opens up and stuff, but it's, I mean, like, the paint comes through. I wish the paint continued through these little places. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's a nitpick, but it's a criticism of mine. The cab looks awesome. Like, I mean, like, you can tab it in and make sure it's a little bit better than what I got it, but very impressive in that regard. Yeah, I like it a lot. There it is with Tiger Track, so I'd say that's pretty on point. There it is with MP10, so, I mean, it's about the same length, a little bit shorter, pretty impressive. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negatives. The knee joint is wonky. I understand it's part of the engineering to get him to truck mode, but it is wonky in regard to utilizing it for robot mode. Not impossible, easily worked around, but still something that kind of disrupts the flow of the figure. Although what's painted is great, I could have used a little bit more paint, especially on the arms. The gray for the trailer I can forgive due to the amount of panel tabbing that has to go into it and the amount of wear and tear that would cause on the paint, but the gray on the arms I think they probably should have painted. Speaking of the tabbing, the trailer tabbing is obnoxious. It's not fun, it's not enjoyable, which is a shame because a lot of the transformation, even though it's involved, it's not frustrating. It's the only frustrating part and it's right at the end. It's like sitting through an appetizer, soup, salad, and main meal, getting to the dessert and having to fight to get to the dessert. Now I know I'm contradicting myself a little bit, but I do wish we got more of a waist swivel. Usually with most figures I say, look, this is more than enough. You don't actually have that much of a quote unquote waist swivel in real life, but there is something about this figure that I feel like it could have used a little bit more. And I'm not sure why it doesn't have it, to be honest. And lastly, there are a few things that slide on this. Where the wheels meet the trailer, that's a sliding piece. The smokestacks, that's a sliding piece. And the tension on some of those things leaves a little bit to be desired. That's a small nitpick, but something worth mentioning. Plenty of positives though. Sculpt, fantastic, per usual. Materials, fantastic, per usual. Hardware, fantastic, per usual. A lot of it is painted and the paint is fantastic, per usual. Could have used it on the arms, but the rest of it, beautiful. The presence is spectacular in both modes. However, I will say there is something that's lost in that trailer with the amount of panels. There's just something lost there. And to be fair, I don't think the panel should have been used in the first place. I think the trailer should have been a parts forming piece, but that's my own bias. Articulation, up to snuff, and if you want to cheat that butterfly joint, you can have that as well, so it's pretty much perfectly articulated. The only thing I would have liked is a little bit more of a range down on the head. It feels fantastic, it cleans up beautifully, and the engineering, while involved, is 90% enjoyable. The last part, not so much. I don't mind involved transformations if they're kind of fun, challenging, but rewarding to get through. This one just stumbles there at the end. It is a strong recommend from me, and we don't know how the combined mode of this is really going to turn out, but this figure is extremely well done. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.